Schofield time, 45 Colt, and I think a cowboy deserves to be shot right away, don't you? And maybe a little pot smoked, like right here. Took an edge off. How about another little pot smoke in there? And a little bowling. Woo! Well, a strike. Do I have another round? No. Yep, I did load 6, which I don't normally do. I've always been attracted to these shorter, the Schofield revolvers. You know, I have my other one, mine out here, and the full long barrel, which I've had for several years. You've seen it a few times, you better have. And but this is the 5-inch model, sometimes referred to as a Wells Fargo model. And you might know why. If not, I'll probably tell you, all right? So let's get that brass out. It's not called the Wells Fargo model. I think maybe there have been some 5-inch versions that have been produced by Italian makers, and Cimarron or Uberti, Taylor's and Co. I don't know, that have been actually called that. And the reason is, if you don't know, that, you know, the Schofield was adopted by the U.S. military back, what was it, 1875, along in there, and bought quite a few of them. Yeah, I don't know, 25,000, 50,000. It wasn't in as big a numbers as the 45 or the Colt single action Army, but it's quite a few. And a chamber to 45 Schofield round, 45 Smith & Wesson, 45 Schofield round, a little bit shorter than the Colt 45 Colt round. And well, anyway, there were issues with it in terms of the ammo mix-ups and all that kind of thing, and they finally settled on just the 45, the Colt single action Army, and eventually, and they sold a bunch of those to Wells Fargo, okay, like this, and Wells Fargo cut the barrels down to 5 inches for their agents and whoever guards to carry. Okay, so that's why it's called the Wells Fargo, and I think they imprinted Wells Fargo, you know, on them. And if you find one of those, it's an actual, you know, Smith & Wesson Wells Fargo model. It's not fake; it's a real one. It's probably pretty valuable. Okay, so this one says U.S. on. No, this is a replica, Italian replica, Cimarron. So they don't call this the Wells Fargo model, but it's that that configuration. I believe they were 5-inch. And they're pretty appealing. It's just a nice looking gun. The Schofield, the Smith & Wessons, you know, we see the Colts so much and all the clones of the Colts, that these being as different as they are, it's just interesting looking. The top break, they're, I don't know, they're attractive. They're even fascinating to some extent. You know, the fact that they break down the way they do, you cock the hammer, half cocked, you know, and that thing opens up like that, pop the rounds in, and they're just really neat, no doubt about it. Now, they don't feel as good to me. The ergonomics of it are not as good as a Colt or a Colt clone. It's, as much as I want to love these and like them, because they're so interesting and different, I can't fall in love with them. I like them, but they're just a little more awkward. Even the cylinder action, and they don't seem to click into place like a Colt does, and they're just different animals, but they're pretty neat. And I thought it'd be cool. I saw Bud's had a 5-inch model. I'd never fired one, I guess, in this length until the Sunday morning video a few weeks ago. So let's shoot the thing some more. Quit yakking so much. Now I actually have a Schofield holster I got years ago. Yep, lined pretty nice, you know. That's what I carry when I'm around town, you know, in Nashville. And it is different. You can cram a Schofield in some Colt holsters, they just don't fit well. So this is actually a Schofield holster. Yeah, so it's nice to have that since I have a Schofield, always have. This is actually 45 Schofield ammo, Smith & Wesson ammo. Notice it's a little short. I had this in the barn for, 20 years, I think. I bought it somewhere. See, the rounds are a little bit longer or shorter than 45 Colt. See, and that's the rounds that, and I don't know if that, I actually have an old, I think I might have a 45 Schofield round, an original from like the 1870s somewhere. I bought from a cartridge collector at a gun show one time, but I think it's about the same length. And so what they, and I won't go through, I've gone through that before, the story, but what happened when the military was using and adopted both the Colt single action and these, then, you know, they had an issue with ammo. Now the Schofield round was shorter. It would chamber, think about it, in both the Colt single action or these. And, but the long Colt, the 45 Colt, it would not chamber in the Schofields because it was designed for a shorter cartridge, all right? Which means the cylinder was shorter, all right? So it wasn't like a 44 Magnum that'll fire special or Magnum or you know, that kind of thing. It had a cylinder designed just for the 45, the Schofield, a shorter cartridge. And so things would happen. You can imagine the military, maybe they have a lot of troops at a certain base somewhere in the West, and they get a bunch of ammo comes shipped their way, but it's all the 45 Colt, the long cartridge, and so they don't have any ammo. It won't work in their guns. You know, so that's one reason they got rid of them and went to just the Colt single action. And I think they went to where they were shooting mostly the Schofield ammo because it would work in either one. And then plus it was easier to shoot well, less recoil, and so I think it was used a great deal in the Colt single action. So. All right, that's the little piece of history, and there's more to it than that, but more to it that I don't know. So anyway, I'm going to shoot some of this old Schofield ammo. Well, it's not old, but it is Schofield. All right, Smith & Wesson, shorter ammo. Okay, I was thinking, why not? I've had this stuff forever. Should be okay. Kind of smoky. All right, I held up a little bit higher on that second shot. Kind of like shooting 44 special. That's nice. See about a 2 liter right there. Woo, doggies. How about a buffalo over there, a bison? All right, killed me one. Then you're supposed to cock it back just a little bit before you break it down. Oh, you know what? I just made a mistake. You have trouble. I had this, yeah. It's hard to get those cases out. They get under that star, that extractor. That's one of the issues with these things. It really is. Boy. How'd you like to be in the middle of a gunfight and have that happen? Yeah. So, what I've learned to do with them, if I want to not have trouble, is turn that thing up and I come out like that, so they're going to fall out. All right. Once you get that going, that's bad. It is very bad.